Welcome in to the most recent episode of the Nerds Ruin Sports podcast. My name is Zac Tipton, and I am here with my amazing, esteemed, fantastic co-host, Anders Pryor. And Anders, how are you doing today?
I'm way better now that you've combined all three adjectives into one. That was great. I didn't think that I would ever reach that point, but some dreams come true. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very, very excited for our show today. So, as you'll see on the title of this YouTube episode, this show is going to be an NFL mock draft, and we are going to do a fantasy football mock draft right here for you on this show. And we are very excited. You know, mock drafts are a fun thing to do, especially when you're a fantasy football fanatic like myself and Anders. We love our mock drafts. We do. I love to just hop on and just see who I can get sometimes, see what teams I can get. So how we're going to do this is very simple. Me and Anders are each going to have our own slots. So the CPU will auto pick the rest of our slots and stuff like that, but we're going to have our own slots as well. But we are going to do it how most fantasy leagues generally do it, which is through a random number generator, and we are going to see what we can get. So, Anders, before we start, what pick do you typically like to get in an NFL in a fantasy football draft, and what pick do you like to stay away from?
So, in a 12-person league, I tend to like. I think in a 12-person league, the two picks that I've usually had the most fun drafting from are 3 and 10. Those are the two that I enjoy the most. I tend to not like drafting at the turns because oftentimes I feel like it requires me to make certain reach picks on some stuff, and I end up not always having a great feel for roster construction as I go down the road. And you know, I feel like going a couple later, it gives enough space for that. And then obviously no one really likes to get stuck in the middle because, you know, you can get sniped on players from either side. And sometimes you feel like you have to take players that you like and not love because of ADP. But I'm a very big believer of just drafting who you want. You know, you guys will see that as you don't want to do obnoxious reaches, but you should feel comfortable and confident taking who you like. So to me, 3 and 10 are the two that I've had a lot of success with in my mocks.
Absolutely. And for me personally, I'm a big 3 guy as well. I think my first ever time I ever won in fantasy was from the 3 spot. So I definitely like the 3 as well. But I can't go wrong with the 1. I had success last year with the 1 last year, and I liked it a little bit. But I am a turn guy. I kind of think the turn is fun because you kind of can just exactly know who you're going to get. Like an 11 or a 2 I'm okay with as well. I don't want like 1 or 12. To be completely fair, I don't want 1 or 12, but I'll take like 11 or 2. I might take as well. Because it kind of gives you a guy like I have 2 guys I want. I know they're both going to be here. Let's get them now. Boom.
I also will say drafting from the turn is I find it to be significantly less stressful because if you want, you know, there's a specific running back there that you want, but then there's 2 receivers that you're not super sure about and you kind of need time to think about who you want. You can just run down the clock to the very end, take that running back if you know you want them, and it gives you as time as possible to think about, you know, that
Absolutely.
other player that you want.
I've definitely done that. I've definitely done that a bunch of times as well. So, absolutely. So here we go. We're going to add to the stage. We're going to add our random number generator to the stage. As you can see, we got 1 through 12. And so this first one, Anders, is going to be your pick.
All right.
You are the 3, Anders.
Perfect.
Which is exactly what Anders wanted, and we will see what I get. hopefully it's a little spread out. Hopefully I get like a little spread out here. But okay, I got the 8. Not where I wanted in life, not where I wanted, but we'll take it. We'll take it. So now we'll go over to our sleeper mock draft, and we will be using sleeper. Just to be clear here, we think sleeper is the best mock draft system, and honestly, I just am very comfortable with sleeper. So we're gonna do it that way. So we're gonna be using sleeper. And now we are here. So as you can see, Anders, you can lock into your 3. I will lock into my 8. And also just kind of for the settings, it is a 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex.
Yep.
So that's how we're doing it now. PPR. That is our draft system. It is a 12-team league. And we are very excited.
We are very excited. What you'll see too is that we've set each pick time to be an hour so that you guys can really hear us kind of think out loud through this process and sort of understand why we're making the picks that we're making, and both in terms of the pick that we're thinking about making there, and then also kind of looking at the landscape and kind of planning for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. So Anders, with that, I will start the draft.
Yep.
And as I assume, I'm guessing McCaffrey and Lamb will go 1-2 here to the mock draft.
Yep.
So then Anders,
So I would have loved Lamb here at 3. I think that last year the RB dead zone, which I know was a very common phrase that people use, is in which everyone's kind of being drafted sort of at their ceiling or below. That was very big last year. This year, I think that there's a good pocket in the 5 to 6 range, maybe top of the 7th, that I feel pretty comfortable with. And so this is a good year for both zero RB and hero RB. I personally, last year was the first year I've done double RB in the first 2 rounds. I had Bijan and Josh Jacobs. I'm not going to do that here. I mostly did that to avoid the dead zone later. I don't feel as big of a case this year. And so for me personally, I'm going to repeat my first round pick last year, and I am going to go with Bijan just because that, I think of everyone up here, of all the running backs in this, I think he is the most receiving upside, and he's just the person that I feel the most comfortable taking with. And my second running back is someone who can just grab.
Oh, I was scared there for a second. I'm like, is he gonna fall to me at 8? I got a little excited. Anders.
Do you want to turn off this volume?
Yes,
here?
I will turn off the volume. Yes, there we go. Sorry, I'll turn off the volume. My bad. I will turn the notification and stuff. So then, very simply put here, I think I have a no-brainer at this pick at this point. I didn't think he would be here at this point, and so I'm very happy he is. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going with, and at this point, guys, I am a fan of not taking RBs early. That is my thing. I never do. I do wait for the dead zone. I wait for later, like 3rd or 4th round is usually when I take my first RBs. So I here am going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown because I think it's a pretty obvious choice. I don't think there's really any debate to it. And now we wait.
Now we wait. And I think it's smart to kind of I know that a lot of people are going to try to grab pieces of the Detroit offense as soon as possible. We see there at the back of the top of the first, Gibbs goes. So he's off the board now. So now Laporta is really the only relevant person there. So grabbing that early, I think, is smart.
I agree. I think, and here's the thing. Now this pick, I'm a little concerned in life. I don't like Adam's situation, although I know Adams will put up things. I really, actually, in this pick, I would kind of go against my usual grain, which is I've never been a Drake London believer. But with Kirk Cousins, I kind of want a piece of that offense, and I kind of want the number one wide receiver on that offense. And so I think for me here, I think Drake London is a good pick for me. And so I will go Drake London here in the second round.
Now, yeah, I like the pick. I think there's a lot of situations where I think I think the Atlanta is sort of different from Detroit in that I feel like it's really, you have basically Laporta from a receiving weapon standpoint, you have Laporta and you have Amon-Ra. In my mind, that's kind of it. I think, between London and, Pitts, they bring in Mooney, Bijan coming out of the backfield, in a style that's sort of more direct than what they do with Gibbs. And obviously it's Bijan's backfield significantly more than his Gibbs backfield. I feel like Atlanta falls into a little bit of the too many mouths to feed kind of dilemma, but I do agree that, other guys there like, Ayuk and what you said about Adams, I think that's spot on. So now here I am in a little bit of a spot here. I would have probably gone with Laporta just to lock up the one-off position early. I am someone who actively pursues stacks. There are 5 stacks amongst 3 quarterbacks that I have a lot of interest in. And one of those is the Stroud and Collins stack. And even if I don't get that stack, I like Collins. I think that even with the addition of Diggs, he's the prime. He is the prime weapon there. If the other stacks become relevant later, then I'll mention those. But I'm going to go with Collins here just to kind of allow some room for that stack because Stroud is at a realistic draft point here with no real rushing ability. So I'm going to go with Collins over Diggs because of the recency and of the chemistry.
I think I'll say I like Collins a lot this year. Him and Diggs is very interesting. Whether he'll be the wide receiver 1 or Diggs being the wide receiver 1 for so long in his career. It'll be very interesting to see if Nico Collins can kind of beat him out for targets. But I like the fact that Nico Collins already has that relationship with CJ Stroud, and they've already had that connection kind of going for a full year. And I do worry, though, that, will Diggs get whiny if he doesn't get an insane amount of targets? And that is a worry I do have. But, yes.
Right. No, I think there are many more scenarios where Diggs is disappointing than when Collins is. So now here, there are 2 kind of – so, I could go wide receiver again. Evans would probably be my first choice here. I would rather have him over Moore and Debo. I think that Moore is a little strange to me because I think that there are pieces of the Bears offense that you can get later down the line at a much more affordable price with a pretty similar ceiling. So I'm going to pass on him. The Niners, different people shine in different games. I think they're similar to me with Atlanta where there's the too many mouths to feed. And obviously, this is not really the spot where I want to take a quarterback. I would much rather wait on a Stroud or a Dak or a Kyler. Those are the 3 quarterbacks that I'm looking to kind of formulate my stacks for. If I do want to go over a running back, I want Rachaad White, who I've mentioned in our previous episodes because of the receiving ability that he has. Jacobs, that – he's attached to that offense well, but there's some questions about his efficiency. Derrick Henry, to me, you kind of need double-digit touchdowns from him to sort of be that. Pacheco, I like, but I think I like Rashad more. I think the ceiling's a little higher. I think right now here you're kind of drafting Pacheco at his ceiling. Zach, for you here, if the choice for you was between Evans and White, who would you go with if you had Robinson and Collins here?
That's tough. I personally just go receiver here at this point. I think just because I think I personally I don't know. I think Evans is he's
I'm gonna go with Evans here because there's a couple running backs that I do like that I think I can get at the coming turn. And Evan, there are a couple people that I have in mind that are later rounds that are much more high upside volatility guys. Evans, I think at his ADP has one of the highest floors in fantasy football, so I'm gonna go with him here.
Fair. Now we're back to me, and that is what I call, guys. That is. I want to point this out. That is what I call in fantasy drafts mind games. That is mind games because I really wanted Rachaad White, and he did not take him. So I'm very happy with the fact that he did not take Rachaad White because I really wanted Rachaad White at my turns. I needed a running back, so I would like to say that is what we call mind games. Rachaad White for me. And he already said everything he wanted to know about Rachaad White, but I'm taking Rachaad White there. He is, but I would still take Evans. I think Evans is a great pick. And I would definitely take Evans.
Good. No, because and of course now so Stroud goes there, so that eliminates the possibility of that stack with Collins. I'm still fine with Collins anyway. But no, I think what Zach did is good. It's like I said in our sleeper episode. I am perfectly comfortable with Rachaad White being your RB1 in a double receiver approach. So the build that Zach has here, I think, is a really good start.
I agree. And me personally here at this point, I want a second running back, and I'm going to go with my one guy I trust through my life. And I want that second RB, and so I'm going to go with my boy James Cook out of Buffalo. I think Cook is in for a pretty good year. I think with the receiver issues that they're having in Buffalo, I could see Cook getting a little more work next year. And I just really do like James Cook as a running back. I think he's a guy I always have trusted. And so I'm going to go with him here at 4 or 5. I take James Cook.
Perfect. Okay. So Trey McBride comes off the board, which is a little unfortunate because the Kyler Murray and the Kyler Murray and Trey McBride stack was another one that I was looking for, along with Kyler and Harrison. Those are obviously that got wiped out pretty early. So now the only stack that I have that I really want to pursue here is the Dak Prescott and Jake Ferguson stack. So that's kind of just something that I want you guys to follow as I go through these selections. So what I'm looking to do here is essentially just sort of raise my floor as much as I can. And I am thinking here, I really like, where is he? I like Aaron Jones in this spot. I think that there are a few people on the turn here at both wide receiver and running back that I would feel comfortable with versus, I don't want to play it safe. He's my top priority here. So I am going to take Jones here, which might be a little bit of a reach at this point. And so we come back to me, Kamara, Andrews. Here, I think at the receiver spot, Higgins is an intriguing option, especially in a 3-receiver league. I think, I do like his situation. The other thing that I could do here is fill my flex with James Conner and then pursue the Trey Benson handcuff later on. I think I am going to sort of stick with the high floor approach that I'm kind of having here with Aaron Jones, and I'm going to take T. Higgins, who I think, a 1,000 plus yard ceiling in round five. In round five, I think is hard to get. And I think that with Boyd gone, Burton, and with the tight end position not being super clear, I think that the target share I think will actually go up there, and so I feel very comfortable. Lots of guys that I'm willing to wait on for the next turn.
I agree. I think for me personally here, I'm in a little bit of a stuck situation. I don't really have a guy I truly like at this spot. Here, because I think I really, it's kind of hard to pick here. I think my head's kind of thinking like I don't like any of the wide receivers at this position, so I probably would wait on not take a wide receiver here. I could go with one of the tight ends. I've said before, I think Kyle Pitts. I could go for the Kyle Pitts, Drake London stack there. Try to get the Atlanta offense kind of in my back pocket, but I don't know if I really want to do that. Kincaid and so I don't think I'm going to go tight end here either, actually. I think for me, I might go for the triple RB here and take Kenneth Walker.
Is there any part of you here that's tempted to take Anthony Richardson?
There's a big part of me here that's tempted to take Anthony Richardson. I just feel like with the team I have, though, I feel like I've gone with a very safe route on my team, and I feel like Richardson would be the first big risk I take with my team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm willing to take that risk. We're taking Anthony Richardson here in the 5th round to get him kind of solidified. I'm okay with taking that risk with him. I think he's going to be that guy. And as it comes back to me, a lot of the top RBs that I was kind of targeting, they're off the board. And so for me at this point, I'm going to go with a wide receiver here to short my wide receiver core. But I'm not going to go with any of the top guys. I'm not going with McLaurin. I'm not going with the Dunze. I'm jumping down a little bit here, and I'm taking Jordan Addison. I think he's in for a monster year. He was kind of a touchdown guy for the Vikings last year. And honestly, I think his deep threat is just really fun to watch. And I'm excited to see if maybe Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy, whoever it is, takes advantage of it. I'm happy to take Jordan Addison here as my wide receiver 3.
Right. So this for me is where I take Dak, because if I wanted to do the Burrow and Higgins stack, he goes one spot before that, kind of wipes that off the board too. Ferguson, given his ADP, he's much high. He's a little bit higher here on Sleeper than he is on ESPN, but that should be someone who should be available for the turn here. And I get to sort of just not have to worry about the quarterback spot. I think that, the Dallas Cowboys ecosystem outside of Michael Gallup is largely similar. They didn't run the ball a crazy amount last year anyway. So I don't think the difference here between Pollard and Zeke really has much to do in terms of affecting his performance. So I'm going to take someone where this is kind of, I'd say Jordan Love here is the kind of line of where you are kind of getting into the territory of people that you might as well punt for, which can be a little bit of a risky situation to do at like such a close spot to the turn where I am, or guys, like Jaden Daniels and Kirk Cousins, where given either because of their rookie, because of injury history, not sure. So I'm going to just secure Dak here and kind of hope that Ferguson falls to this next spot, which he does. And so I'm going to now secure that stack here and invest in really, if I'm going to invest in a quarterback early, I want to make sure that I push more chips in than just the pick. So I feel really good about this stack. This was one of the 5 that I was pursuing.
That is fair. I think for me here, this is where I go my tight end. And I think for me here, I'm going to take a little bit of a riskiness on this, which is I'm going to go with Brock Bowers in the hopes that, he does kind of live up to the hype, which is kind of put on him. I could go with the safe Evan Ingram pick. That is a very safe pick here. He would be very much willing to give you a lot of points, but I kind of want to go with the riskiness of probably the boom or bust kind of guy and Brock Bowers here. So I'm going to take Brock Bowers to get my tight end as well. I'm not much invested in the stacks. I think stacks are cool, but I also know that if I wanted Anthony Richardson, I might go for a Josh Downs later on with a later pick. I might go for him, but for the most part now, I'm kind of set. Now I'm working on my bench at this point. Which if you look at the bench options here, I'm a little. It's a little hard to really think about on this. I could go with an RB, but a lot of the RBs I kind of wanted were taken right before me. For example, Tony Pollard was taken 2 picks before that last pick, and I was kind of hoping he'd fall, but he didn't. So I could a receiver here. And to be honest, I really don't mind any of these guys, to be honest. I kind of would be okay taking a Keon Coleman reach here. But I probably am not going to do that. I think for me, the safe pick here, I'm going to do it, is I'm going to go Javonte Williams here for the Broncos. He's kind of an injury risk, but he was kind of healthy for a full season last year, and he looked really good last year late. So I think I'm going to go with the Javonte Williams pick to shore up a backup RB, and I'm going to take him.
Great. So I am not as in on Javonte Williams, just on the basis of I like Bo Nix a lot. I am fading the Broncos kind of just in general. Just even though I think long-term he's good, I think in a 1-year kind of fantasy project, I'm not quite as confident there. But I do think that if healthy, there is some receiving upside there. And if you really look at it, I know, a lot of people are kind of like McLaughlin and P. Ryan, but it really is his backfield. So I think he is underrated in terms of the volume kind of aspect of it. So I don't hate the pick. I am going to go running back here to satisfy my flex position. Now, I am going to take Brooks here, who you guys know is someone that I've hammered in on. I want to kind of preface by saying that Brooks will not, when we get close to the season, Brooks will not be available at the 93 spot right here. He is going to, as his health progresses, move up higher and higher. He's ranked much lower here than he is over on ESPN. If he were not here, this would be a great spot for me to take Tajay Spears and to take his receiving upside. I know a lot of people are kind of scared of him because of the Tony Pollard, follow the money kind of approach. But I do think that between the two, I think his receiving upside and just his price tag make him a kind of collectively better pick. I'm going to go with Brooks here. And then if Spears is available, I will take him to be kind of like my first bench option. And if not him, I like Robinson, I think. We're going to go with Brooks here and see how it shakes out. Okay. Now, Williams is off the board, and he was someone that I was strongly considering for my backup quarterback spot. Coleman, another person who you guys know I love, also off the board. This is around where he's supposed to be going. I do like Trey Benson. I kind of like him more as a James Conner stack piece. Or not a stack piece, excuse me, as a handcuff piece. So I'm going to take the risk on the receiving upside of Tajay Spears. I pick him over Robinson because I think that given their systems, I'm a little more weary of Eckler than I am of Pollard. I know the ADP, speaks a little differently depending on where you look at, but I'm going to go with Spears here and take a shot on his receiving upside.
Yeah, that is fair. Now we're back to me, and obviously a slew of running backs just went right there, which, to be honest, I wasn't really thinking running back here. I was thinking here, I'm not a big fan of like late round wide receivers. There's not a lot of wide receivers like very late that I'm excited about. So me personally here, I'm okay taking a couple wide receivers back to back here in the hopes that it becomes in the hopes that I find maybe in the hopes that I get a couple guys to be good bench pieces. So for me personally, I am gonna go here and I'm gonna get him off his slide off the board. I'm going to take let me look here. I'm going to take DeAndre Hopkins here as a bench piece to the point where like if he plays like the wide receiver one in Tennessee, I'll be in really good shape. But if he doesn't, he's an older bench piece I can have just around. But at this point, I think this late, I'm okay taking the risk on DeAndre Hopkins. So I will take D-Hop here at the 9-8. And then the backup tight ends are starting to go a little bit, which scares me, but I'm okay waiting on those because I don't really feel like backup tight end is that big of an option.
Thank God you took Bowers as early as you did because the big kind of slew has come at these last turns.
Yeah. So I think for me now, I'm going to go with a little bit of upside. I know I said Josh Downs earlier, but just based on ADP, I think I'm going to go with Adonai Mitchell here to go with the Anthony Richardson stack. But I'm not really sure about between either of those. I feel like Josh Downs had a successful season last year, but I don't know, man. It's tough. Anders, I know you're higher on Adonai Mitchell than you are on Josh Downs.
I was really hoping that he would. I was gonna take him probably at the. No, I probably would have taken him at the 10-10 actually.
So I am going to take Adonai Mitchell here, just get him out, just to get my stack kind of secured.
Right.
And I'm going to take Adonai Mitchell out of Texas.
Yeah.
Here to get the sacks. Here.
I like that more with Downs. I think that Mitchell, with his size and his playing style, has a little bit more touchdown upside. With especially along in that system, especially alongside Richardson, who will kind of be, doing a lot of his own kind of red zone stuff. I think that Downs is a little bit more big play dependent, which is something that I try to steer away from with receivers at any level. But I do like that pick there a lot for you. I've gone back to back running backs here. I do really like the sound of Blake Corum. I would have liked him a little more if I got Kyron, who if I am someone who is in the 10, 11, 12 spot, Kyron is someone that I target. I am a very big fan of the Gibbs, I'm a big fan of the Kibbs and Puka turn. I'm also a big fan, depending on if I get it, the Amon-Ra and Kyron Williams turn. Those are two big ones for me. if I had to go receiver here, there's not really anyone that I would be super excited about here. Quite frankly, if I had to pick someone, I would want to take a chance on Josh Palmer being this year's Nico Collins, but I know that I can get him later. So I am probably going to instead just take Corum and take a bet on his talent and kind of stash him away as if Kyron gets injured, I can use him as a flex piece, or, if Brooks has a complication with his health, he can be a potential flex option. And, for whoever gets Kyron in my league, he can be a potential trade asset there. There's a lot of different ways that this can work. So I'm going to take a bet here on his talent and go with him, who I like a lot more than Brown, Ford, Charbonnet, Jalen Wright. I know a lot of people like Jalen Wright. I'm not huge on him. So I go triple running back here. Now, this is where I want to kind of establish my wide receiver depth. I am almost tempted to actually go with Downs here, because I do, I try to stay away from those big play dependent guys, but I want to have a sort of insurance plan of if Richardson does break out, especially as a thrower to a certain extent, I can have at least some part of that and benefit at least a little bit. So I'm going to take Downs here, and I'm going to take him with the intent of kind of taking Palmer at the next round. So I'm going to take my sort of piece of the Colts, Anthony Richardson success story kind of narrative here and go with Downs, since Mitchell is not on the board.
I have a couple of thoughts here. I could grab my one last wide receiver that I want. Here, I could grab my one last wide receiver that I want here, as kind of like a safe grab. Unfortunately, I just got sniped by Team 4 there. I was kind of hoping Cousins would fall to me and I could take him as a backup QB here. But at this point, I could go with that. Or one thing that I'm looking forward to here is I'm going to go on running back, and I am going to take the Nick Chubb safety pick, and I'm going to go with a guy last year that actually looked pretty solid in his short time, and I'm going to go with I was going to say Jerome Ford, and I'm not sure if I'm going to say Jerome Ford. 1 second. I'm going to look at this a little more. So I'm between Jerome Ford, or I could go with Zach Charbonnet. Which Zach Charbonnet is a guy what you're kind of going to get from him, because he's going to be the backup in that team.
Right.
And so what you're going to get from him. So I think for me personally, I might go with I'm going to go Jerome Ford. I'm going to stick with my gut. I'm going to go Jerome Ford here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree Ford over Charbonnet here, unless you can get both, which literally as I say that, he gets taken on the turn.
Yeah. And then here I'm going to go for somebody, Anders, who basically I want a second running back. I want my one last backup running back here, and I think I kind of like the names on the board left here. So for me personally, I'm going to go with the guy that I thought shined last year when he got his opportunities, but he just got somebody kind of put above him in that opportunity list, but he got somebody who's kind of injury prone put above him last year. And I think he would really sharpen his opportunities. So I think he will get those opportunities again this year. And I expect that the guy above him will not stay healthy for a full year. And so that is why I am taking Ty Chandler out of the Minnesota RB here to back up Aaron Jones, who I do not have.
Yeah. No, I was kind of – that was another handcuff that I sort of thought about a little bit with Jones. I'm okay. I think I'm okay with passing. I feel kind of it's not a super anxiety inducing pass up for me. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to take my backup tight end, and I'm going to go with someone who I think is going to, again, for me, is a kind of bet on someone who is young and who is talented, and is kind of also a bet on, do I think that if this quarterback kind of takes this leap or takes this step, I want a piece of it. And so I'm going to go with Ben Sinnott here because I loved him coming out of the draft. I loved him at Kansas State. And if McDaniels here, I kind of want, I try to go, Caleb Williams his ceiling is so high for me, just in how I perceive him, that he's really the only backup quarterback that I am willing to take that kind of fits into that, higher, more volatile range as opposed to the safety range. So, but I also understand that Jane Daniels is a very popular backup pick, and even some people like to punt the position they start him, which I don't. Even with Caleb Williams, I wouldn't do. But if he does break out because he's a rookie, I want a piece of that. And to me, Sinnott is the best value there. And I think as a backup option, he works really well. Ertz, I don't think that he's going to – I think Sinnott by week 8 will be firmly the starter. So I'm gonna take his upside here and kind of take a bet on his talent. And then here I'm going to go with my backup. What I try to do for my backups is I try to pick someone that I can stack with a starter. And so for me here, I think Baker, even if I didn't have Evans, but to me, if I look at Rodgers, excuse me, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. I am going to sneeze. Hold on one second. No, I'm not going to sneeze. This is, God. I'm going to take Baker and kind of use the Evans stack possibility in Dak's bye week as a tiebreaker there. So I'm going to go with him as my backup.
Okay. For me here, it's very simple. I need a backup wide receiver here. I need one more wide receiver that I trust here. And so he mentioned it earlier. I'm going to do it now. I am going to jump on the Joshua Palmer pick here.
Mm-hmm.
And hope that, he makes that jump. As a number 6 wide receiver, I'm okay with that. And so I'm going to take Joshua Palmer here as that. And we're going to hope that, oh my God, I screwed up my draft. I'm an idiot. Oh no, I screwed this up. I forgot kickers and defense existed. That's great. We will handle that later. I am sorry to everyone watching. I have screwed up this draft. We're going to play this as if I'm playing it the way I will. And then basically what's going to happen is I'm going to go through and I'm going to drop a couple of these people. I'm going to just have to pick up defense and kickers. But for now, in a very easy pick for me, I'm going to go with my backup QB here. And I'll just drop somebody eventually for a defense. I'm not picking a defense up in this draft, looks like. But I'm going to drop – actually, I'll make a kicker. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to pick up my backup QB here. And I'm going to grab a guy who I said earlier I think is going to have a huge step up this year. I don't see him being as bad as he was last year, and that's Bryce Young. I'm going to take him in my backup QB. As I'm very stupid, and there's a bunch of kickers going off the board right now. This is not a good look for me right here. But
so
I got a little into the draft here. I forgot about actual. Yeah.
So I did not screw up my draft. I kind of like the idea. So a lot of the guys, obviously, if Aubrey, I wouldn't in this round here. What round is it? I guess round 13. If you wanted to kind of jump on Aubrey, I wouldn't hate that. I do really like the idea of Chase McLaughlin here. He's a kicker that I am sort of especially kind of infatuated with, mostly because because I do think that the kicker spot does matter. One, he is going to be playing a lot of the times in indoor stadiums. He's going to be playing in Atlanta. He's going to be playing in New Orleans. And then he's also going to be playing in a lot of nice weather situations, throughout the season in Tampa, going to Carolina, which should be nice weather. So he's not really – the division that he plays in does not really open the door for any kind of weather nonsense. So – and I do like the offense that he is attached to, so I'm going to go with him here. And I get a nice little Mike Evans sort of stack situation. And then defensively, I am going to go with make sure I find it. I'm going to go with the Saints because I think, there's some volatility, obviously, with defenses, which we know. What I do know, though, amongst all things that we don't know, is that twice a year, the Saints are going to kick Carolina just in the face. And so I want those spike weeks for them. And so I'm going to roll with them here as my defense.
Okay, now we get to me. And I think for me, my pick here is very simple. I'm going to stick with defense. Okay, so basically I want to kind of go through here and just make sure people know that, I usually don't screw this up, but I completely forgot about the defense kicker this round. So I will say, right now, most likely if I would have remembered this, I would not have taken Chai Chandler in that 12th round. I probably would have taken Joshua Palmer there. And then I would have taken Bryce Young at the Joshua Palmer pick at 13-8. So just to be clear, that's what would have happened. And then kicker-wise, I would have probably gone with Tyler Bass or Daniel Carlson at my kicker spot there. That is what would have happened if I would have been smart in life. Or actually, I probably would have just gone Jake Elliott. But I would have been smart. If I would have been smart there, I would. So that's what would have happened. And then defensively, to finish off the draft, I'm going to grab my old reliable, the team I've always kind of trusted every single year to my defense. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers defense here, just to secure that. The team I've always kind of trusted. But, yeah, so I am sorry about the mix-up there. I am an idiot. So, just look at this draft as this would have gone Josh Palmer, Bryce Young, Jake Elliott. That's what would have happened.
So go to your roster. So let's actually look at this.
My roster. Okay, I think I can go. My rosters. This is my roster. I don't have a kicker, but my kicker would have been Jake Elliott.
Yep.
So sorry about that, guys. I screwed it up. But and at some point I would have to drop somebody for tight end as well, but I'll worry about that later when it comes.
Yep.
But yeah. There we go. Anders, what are your thoughts? And honestly, I kind of lost the draft by how badly I played that ending. But if anyone, that is our draft. We're very happy to bring it to you.
Yep.
We'll go through our teams here. So, Anders, I can look at your team just through here. I'll look at your team here.
Do you want to do mine?
So, Anders, I'm just gonna look at yours first. So
Okay.
Anders, for your QB is Dak. Your running backs are Bijan Robinson, Aaron Jones, and your 3 wide receivers are Nico Collins, Mike Evans, and T. Higgins. Your tight end is Jake Ferguson. Your flex will be Jonathan Brooks, and then your backups will be Tyjae Spears, Blake Corum, Josh Downs, Ben Sinnott, Baker Mayfield, Chase McLaughlin as your kicker, and the Saints defense.
Yep.
What are your overall thoughts on this team, Anders?
I like it. My goal was to leave with one of the stacks that I wanted, which was Dak and Ferguson here. I feel good about that. I think I alluded to before, the 5 that I really wanted were, if I get in a top 3 pick, or if I get a top 2 pick, that's what you need to get him. I would have gone with, Dak and Lamb, Dak and Ferguson. That's which is the one I ended up getting. Stroud and Collins was another one. And then also Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr., and then Kyler and Trey McBride. Those are the 5 that I kind of pursue the most. And so I get a good one here. If I kind of look at, the T Higgins pick, I would say is the one that I feel not great about. I would have strongly preferred, Stroud in that spot. I would have strongly preferred Kupp in that spot, picking up McBride there and then being able to wait for Murray to maybe explore some other options in that 6 to 7 range. I got Brooks again. I just want to specify for the audience, Brooks will not be, I think his ADP is 94. He will not be available there once we get to like mid-August. So kind of just plan your drafts accordingly, but we do get, pending he doesn't for whatever reason, we get him here anyway. And then, I think in terms of my backups, I think, Spears, I feel very confident taking a swing at his receiving upside. I think he is absolutely someone that can get me to that has a ceiling of 1,100 scrimmage yards. Corum, a talent pick that I really like. Again, Kyron injury that opens the door wide open. Also think that he will get a lot of the touchdown work like he kind of did at Michigan. I think that, Kyron will take a little bit of a decrease on the touchdown. And Josh Downs, again, Josh Downs and, we'll all start with Downs. He is, again, I would have preferred Mitchell because I would have much rather gone with Mitchell's touchdown upside as opposed to having to deal with Josh Downs being a little bit more big play dependent. But I do want a piece of the Anthony Richardson works out sweepstakes. Same here with Sinat. I don't feel comfortable drafting Jaden Daniels here. Would much, if I can't get Caleb, I would much rather just take someone more secure like Baker Mayfield, who I did here, but I still want a piece of the pie if he does work out. And I like Sinat in a vacuum as well, just based off of his talent and what I saw in college. And then Baker here, as I said, I try to go with backup quarterbacks that I can stack with a starter that I took later. So I get that here. So overall, outside of, the Higgins pick, I would say that this is about as good of a draft as I could have hoped for. Higgins, mid in Downs, but outside of that, I feel really good about what I've done here.
Absolutely. I think for me, so that going over to my team, I think your team looks really well. For my team, obviously, I had some mistakes here, but moving on, I really like my first 7 picks. My first, I really was really happy with how things went. I like Amon-Ra. Drake London of the 2 would be really, really good for me, I think, in terms of his new offense I think he's getting. And then Rachaad White and James Cook are 2 of my favorite RBs in this entire draft. I got them back-to-back here, which I was very happy with. Richardson at the 5 is risky, and I understand that. For people realizing that is a very risky QB pick. If he doesn't work out, I'm kind of screwed. But I like Anthony Richardson a lot. I really do believe he will work out, and I think that's how it is. I love Addison at the 6. Even with Darnold being the QB over there in Minnesota, I like Addison to be able to be productive and do things. And I really just like Addison a lot. And then Bowers, obviously, he's a kind of he's another high-risk kind of guy, but he was a top tight end in the draft class for a reason. I think he's going to be very good in Las Vegas. I think he's going to do well. And then, honestly, my bench is obviously, I think, Javonte Williams. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be he's a solid – he's an RB1. which to get an RB1 as a bench RB is kind of huge, although I think he might actually be considered my flex here. I'm not sure, but I didn't. Oh, no, it isn't. Addison, yeah, he would be my flex. James there, and then obviously I'm going to go to my bench. I got Hopkins, Mitchell, who are both two. We have a veteran and a rookie, who are both guys I kind of just going to hope that Hopkins still has it, and then Mitchell takes over the wide receiver 2 position there. At running back, like I said, this is where things would change a lot in terms of my pick. I like either of these running backs, to be completely honest. I think Ford is a great guy to get for a Nick Chubb stack, and I think Chandler is a great guy to get for an Aaron Jones stack. I don't have either of those running backs, but I'm kind of taking the hope. But again, Amber, Ty Chandler would not be my pick here. This pick would go to Josh Palmer, although I will say the Jerome Ford pick I got sniped on. I was kind of hoping Kirk Cousins would fall to that pick, and Kirk Cousins was going to back up for Drake London, basically. I was hoping Kirk Cousins – I want Kirk Cousins as a backup. He's a guy who I really want as a backup this year. Mm-hmm. Another guy I was really hoping maybe would go is Jared Goff. One of those two would be a great backup in this situation. I want one of those. So that's not really a great move stack here for me because I don't have their starters. I'm kind of hoping their starters get injured at this point. And then Josh Palmer, I think he's going to be really good for the Chargers this year. I would be willing to take a late-round flyer on him to hope he gets good. And then, like I said, I've said what I thought before, Bryce Young. I think he's going to be great. But Jake Elliott would be my kicker preferred here. And then the Niners defense has been all reliable for me. I've kind of always trusted them. You know, they have Nick Bosa. They have all those great pieces on defense, and they've just always had a great defense. So, you know, I'm trusting my Niners defense always. So that's a pick for me there. But yeah, I like my team a lot. Obviously, I made my mistakes, but I like the team I got. I really do. And I like my first 7, 8. So I like my starting lineup for sure.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm out there. I like it. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts as we kind of wind down here on our shorter podcast. I'd like to know from the watchers, from the viewers, who won this draft. Did a CPU win this draft? I will unhighlight this. Did a CPU? I'll let you guys have a chance to look at it. Did a CPU win this draft, or did one of us win this draft? It is very up to you. I thought the CPUs actually did a pretty good job for being CPUs. I thought they did a pretty good job. So it's up to you guys. We'll let the viewers let us know. Who won this draft? Was it Anders? Was it me? Was it a CPU? Did a CPU really outsmart the great Anders Pryor and me?
The team 9 here going quadruple receiver.
But, the running backs are really bad, but that is crazy. How about team 7 here not taking a wide receiver until the 6th round? They really took the no RB strat to the next level. They only have 3 RBs to all together here, so they really are relying on Antonio Gibson to be that stalwart.
Yeah,
no, I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I don't mind team 12 here.
I don't either. No, they have the most, I think, balanced sort of build.
That Saquon Jahmyr Gibbs stack is great. Debo is a solid wide receiver. I don't know if I'd say a solid wide receiver 1, but him and Amari Cooper together are kind of a great stack. I kind of like that stack there. Mahomes at QB is fantastic, obviously. Kyle Pitts at tight end, I said before. I like him a lot. And then they have TJ Hawkinson, who if Kyle Pitts doesn't work out, Hawkinson's only back in time to replace Pitts. So I really like Team 12 here, to be completely honest.
Yeah. I'm rocking with you too.
I'm rocking with Team 12. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of rocking with Team 11 a little bit too. Their bench isn't great, but Team 11 I kind of like a lot too.
I'm kind of rocking with not as much, but Team 5 if you look at you're kind of banking on, that with Rice, Worthy, and McConkey. Obviously, that's two pieces of the Chiefs offense, but there's definitely a worse kind of trio of receivers to kind of bank on there. And then, you get Hall, Jacobs, Mixon as your flex. It's not a bad. The build is weird, but the players are, I think, solid.
And I think for me also, I think I do like team 2 a lot. That CD Ayuk stack 1-2. Then you add ETN and Ramondre are your wide receivers 1 and 2. You have Zay Flowers as your wide receiver 3, who I think is going to be really good. Mark Andrews as your tight end 1 is always a safe pick. You have McLaurin. Then you have Caleb Williams as your QB1. I like it. They don't have a backup QB, which is a little dangerous, but I like their bench a little bit too. I think Zeke could be a really sneaky bench running back for the fact that he seems like he has a chance of being a starter in Dallas, it seems like right now.
Yeah.
And I know he's old, but, it is Dallas and Zeke, and, you never know what he can do there.
Right. He's going to get a lot of the goal. He's going to go right back to getting the goal line work. That hasn't really
changed. I think I won this draft? No. But do I hope you guys think I won this draft? Yes. We'll see though. Please let us know in the comments if you guys think we did. If you like this content, if you like our pod so far, please subscribe. Please like. And Anders, I am going to sign off here, and so on behalf of my great, amazing colleague Anders Pryor, I am Zac Tipton, and this has been the Nerds Ruin Sports NFL Mock Draft Podcast. We are very excited to bring this to you, and I think we will be getting back to regular breaking news and regular news podcasts soon here with the conclusion of the NBA draft, so we're excited to be back. So thank you again. This has been fun. I love a good mock draft, and please let us know who won in the comments. Thank you.
Thank you.